Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the rink at PCC. It gives me chills, it really does. Welcome invited guests, Minister Scott, Mr. Horton, trustees and members of the Pembroke Community Club, members of the Bermuda Inline Hockey Association, Bermuda Ball Hockey Association, Pembroke community neighbors, families, and friends. What a glorious, glorious day. My name is Gail McNeil, and I'll be directing traffic today. I'm the treasurer of the Bermuda Inline Hockey Association. I'm the proud mother of Tyler and Riley, who are both here today, and who participated at this rink in this league since they were about this tall. They honed their skating skills here and then went on to play ice hockey for their prep schools in New England. Did I mention that I'm very proud of them? I must also mention that I'm an accountant, not a professional, experienced speaker. But using my skills as an accountant, I will meticulously follow the program. I will read carefully from my notes, and I will watch the clock to avoid any overtime charges. To begin the program, I'd like to ask Reverend Judith Gardner, Assistant Pastor of St. Paul's AME Church, to offer a blessing. Reverend, and one says thank you. I consider those to be the themes for today. We just can't say those words often enough. There are a lot of kids in the audience today, and they'll probably find it difficult to sit here on a rink like this and listen to people talk. They just want to skate, they just want to play. We understand. But kids, young and old, it's important to stop and to take some time to say thank you to those who helped make all of this possible. The rink at PCC has been here for many, many years. I'd like to ask Mrs. Valerie Dill, President of the Pembroke Community Club, to come and maybe tell us a little bit about the history so we can fully appreciate where we are today. Mrs. Dill?
Minister Scott, I know you're from Somerset, so I don't know if you know as much about Pembroke. And I want to let you know that Pembroke Community Club is one of those trendsetters also. Ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed a pleasure to be here this afternoon after a very long time. A couple of deaths, lots of deaths there are. This rink was originally the grounds and the gardens of the clerk, who was the clerk to the British Admiralty back in the 40s, and then the British Admiralty left. Then the founders, and I owe a lot of thanks to the founders of Pembroke Community Club, who in the 60s were looking for an area for young people to gather because of the changing in times, the social circumstances, and the founders found Pembroke Community Club. This grounds, the government allowed us to be out here, and at that point in time, it was a cottage. It was the clerk's cottage that was along the length of this southeast side. The cottage itself was in derelict state. What happened? The hockey guys came out here, and they were people that were working in the island, and they needed somewhere for just social recreation, and they liked hockey. In the early 90s, there was a gentleman, and in our records, we have to pay some tribute to this gentleman because we cannot remember his name, we cannot find his name in the records. And he was one that originally wanted to develop this area into a walking path, and the skating rink. In the midst of that, he was killed in a traffic accident. So the guys continued to play, and then the guys came along with Mark and Mike. I said to Mark just now, the only person I really know is you, and Mike and Gail came along afterwards. But the guys were always good. They were here, and they said, we want to do something for our community. And today, this is what it has been.
Yeah, it's been a long journey. definitely going back to the 1990s. The master plan to renovate the cottage and to expand the rink was completed, and so all we needed was funding. So they did the cottage. It was a derelict building. The roof was completely falling off, so they were figuring out whether they should tear it down and rebuild it. So everybody got together and actually did a great job. Anyways, phase 2, expanding of the rink. And I remember back in 2004, 2005, when Tom McNeil, also known as Mr. Spinning Wheels, and we had a talk about how do we expand the facility. So we started looking around. It was part of the Parks Department, and so we went to them, and they said, sure, we can expand it. So got approvals there, and we thought, okay, we're off to the races. That was around the same time as we did some of the resurfacing of the rink. We painted it with a skate master. Some of you guys might remember we redid the asphalt to make it a lot faster, and it was a lot better for ball handling. Yet it was too small for the older children, and for the adults it got kind of dangerous when you picked up some speed and got to the corners and all of a sudden had to make those quick turns, and sometimes that didn't work. The cement walls were pretty hard. Anyways, so what we wanted to do is we wanted to host international tournaments for ball hockey, roller hockey, and that facility was too small, so we needed to expand it. So those are some of the reasons why we wanted to get it bigger. We thought that this facility was an excellent facility. The location is amazing, and there's a lot of good users right now. The electric car guys, the majorettes, skateboarders, a lot of community involvement, and we thought even more involvement once we got this thing expanded. So in 2008, when we had the fundraising, it basically made this whole thing possible. So the planning and building activities picked up. Approvals were needed from PCC, Works and Engineering, Planning and Building, and some of the people that helped us along the way, I want to thank now. Start off again, the Parks Department gave us the first approvals, and they were very quick. At every time we went back to them to give us approvals, and we probably went back 3 or 4 times over the last sort of 8 years or so. We'd like to thank Valerie Deal and Pembroke Community Club directorship and the members for agreeing to partner with BIHL and for allowing the facility to be built here. This is a special partnership where we hope that we can build a long-lasting, mutual, beneficial relationship together that enriches the community spirit. It's a small island, and living in harmony is paramount. We are so encouraged about the opportunities that we can develop together over the coming years and make Pembroke a great community.
Without your patience and persistence over the years, this project, this dream would have died too. You're a real hero and an honor to the accounting profession. So you want to renovate a rink. It's going to cost a lot of money. Who are you going to call? Well, I suggest you call Mr. Mike Daly. Mike courageously stepped into the role of president of the BIHA when Tom died. I don't think he fully appreciated what he was signing up for. Mike, could you come up and tell us about the journey and the generous folks who assisted along the way?
Thanks, Gail. As Gail mentioned, this is a day about thanks and about welcome, but mostly about thanks. Mark went through a lot of people who've been involved with the rink, and it's important you recognize each one of them. The finances for the rink, it's truly incredible that we've been able to accomplish this, and the we is all of the people here. The finances for this facility, and this facility is costing $300,000. The finances were about 75% by private donations by you, and about 25% by the corporations, certain corporations of Bermuda. And I'm just thrilled with the response. It's been a long journey for the last, I've been involved with the association for 10 years, but the fundraising for the last 4 years, it's been an important aspect of my life, probably too much of my life for the last long time, but there's certain people that I'd like to recognize because I think it's very important. Fundraising was done in basically 2 parts. It was done in, firstly, back in 2008, After Tommy died, Gail had an in memoriam drive, and instead of flowers or a donation to another cause, she thought it'd be best to honor Tommy's wishes to, start the rink off. And we were blessed with about $86,000 of in memoriam gifts. Then, as you all, which is wonderful. I'm sure many of you remember in the next month, in May, we had a skate-a-thon, and in the Bermuda Half Marathon, we were able to get all the kids out and skate in groups from Somerset out to in Hamilton where the course ends, and we raised $101,000 in donations. So again, thank you very, very much. So
You have accomplished what many thought was impossible. You've turned the dream into reality, and we are forever grateful. You two are a real hero and an honor to the accounting profession. So now we know that renovating a rink takes project management and money, but it also takes something else, people. Countless hours and efforts have been spent doing everything from skating down Harbor Road and painting the lines on the rink. The money that was raised paid for the bricks and mortar and for the specialists that were required to assemble the pieces, but most of the manual labor was from volunteers, young and old, and in rain and in shine. I'd like to introduce Miss Stacy McNeil, Tom's sister, who has come all the way from California to be with us today. I'd like her to say a special thank you to all of you who have given so much of your time and energy.
It's a real pleasure to be here today. It's a real pleasure and it's a real honor. I grew up in Sydney, Nova Scotia with my mom, Carol, and my dad, Tom, and my younger brother, Tommy, and my younger sister, Leslie. I grew up in a household that loved sports, and from a very early age, my brother Tom was destined to take after his father and have a love of sports. My dad was very good at both hockey and baseball, and my dad actually loved all sports. It didn't really matter which one, he loved it all. But as much as the game was important, fair play was even more important, and my brother Tom took that to an entirely new level. Tom loved all sports too. I'm not sure he could have picked a favorite, although hockey and baseball certainly come to mind. But when he was younger, he was very good at tennis. There was a time when he played pool or snooker, I'm not exactly sure what it was. I would see him going out the door with this long, skinny stick with a big smile on his face. He played a mean game of ping pong. And for many, many years, he played golf and continued to enjoy that well into his older years. And he was also a marathon runner and a cyclist. But when he was growing up, for as much as there was sport on television, Tom was outside participating in one sport or another. As long as there was a hockey stick and a rubber ball, a pair of sneakers to indicate the goalpost, there was a pickup game of what we call street hockey going on in front of the house and the road. It didn't take much because where there was a will, there was a way.
And to have proceeded with this project without the guidance and cooperation of the Ministry of Government Estates and Information Systems. I would now like to ask the Honourable Michael J. Scott, JP MP, to come up and say a few words.
Madam Mistress of Ceremonies, Mrs. Gail McNeil, thank you. I'd like to certainly acknowledge the Permanent Secretary, my Permanent Secretary of Government Estates and Information Services, Mr. Robert Horton, Ms. Valerie Dill, the long-serving President of the Pembroke Community Club, and all members of your executive, Mrs. Dill, and executive members, Reverend Judith Gardner, Mr. Michael Daly, President of the Bermuda Inline Hockey Association, and all of your BIHL representatives, Mr. Heinston as the project manager, certainly to representatives of the Pembroke Parish Council, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. What a wonderful collaborative this is and has been. And I'm pleased to have this opportunity to stand and join others who have come to this podium to salute and thank all who have contributed to the recently concluded rink expansion improvement project here at PCC. I refer principally to the Bermuda Inline Hockey League our association, and to Mrs. Dill and her management team here at PCC. It was your combined vision and that of the Bermuda Inline Hockey Association and PCC that has now resulted in this wonderful reality.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. I need some hands on that.
There he is. Gail, Mark, sorry. Sean. All right, Sean, Richard. Yeah.
I am pleased to declare the skating rink open. Game on.